Hello and welcome back to Librarian of the Rings. My name is Ben, I'm the librarian, and today we're talking about the flyers that you're going to see in the Hobbit's The Magic the Gathering set, specifically the ones that you might see come up in your pre-release this weekend. So flying can be really important in Magic the Gathering because unless somebody has flying or reach, they can't block your creatures that are flying, and that means that you can go in and take down their life total and potentially win the game. So let's take a look at what each color has here. So first up we have in white. There are actually two creatures in white that have flying: the Eagle of the Great Shelf and the Velvet Wing Butterflies. This is an uncommon and a common, and then there's also an instant which can give you some creatures with flyings, and that is the Eagles Are Coming. As far as colors go, white is set up pretty well with 3, and this comes in at common, uncommon, and rare, and so you are likely to be able to at least get some of this out. With Velvet Wing Butterflies costing a total of 3 mana and having an adventure on it as well, that's a pretty solid card. Its adventure will be able to tap 1 or 2 target creatures, so you can kind of pause things there and then get the Velvet Wing Butterflies out, which gives you a 2/2 in the air, which is pretty good to have. The Eagles of the Great Shelf, on the other hand, as an uncommon and costing 5, that's a kind of a high mana value there, but they do have flying, and whenever this creature attacks, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each other creature you control, which means that if you're playing a recruit mechanic and you get a bunch of soldiers out there, then you just send the Eagle in. It's pretty strong and maybe can't be stopped. So white is in a good position here. The Eagles Are Coming is that instant. It just costs 1 and a white and allows you to choose a target creature and then remove it back to your hand, and then at the beginning of the next end step you get to create a 4/4 bird soldier creature token with flying. But it has a kicker cost for 2 and 2 white, so 4 more, bringing its total cost up to 6. But at that point you can remove any number of creatures you want and then create a 4/4 bird at the beginning of the next end step for each of them. Now this is an instant, which means you can actually play it while combat is going on. So if you have creatures who are in danger, you can then pull them back, and then at the beginning of the next upkeep you're going to create those birds, which puts you in a really good position. This is a great card. It could really give you some serious invasion power. Now that's just 3 cards, but you're likely to see them play a lot. Now next up we have blue, and blue of course has the most flying. This is generally the case in Magic the Gathering, that blue will come in with the most flying, and in this case we have 4 different creatures that have flying in blue. The first one is the Long Lake Nuisance. Now, this one looks like it's some kind of a heron. Yeah, heron according to the flavor text on it, and it has flying, and when this creature enters, recruit. So not only does it have flying, but it can also recruit, and it costs 4, and it has power 3 and toughness 1. So it's not super strong, but you are sending 3 in the air, and it's a common, so likely to see quite a bit of play here. Next up we have the Lord of the Eagles, which is a rare, not a mythic rare, just a rare, so we might see some of it. He costs a whole lot. He costs 7 and 2 blue, but he is an 8/8, and you can greatly reduce that cost if you're playing the right cards. So he has flash, meaning he can enter anytime, and then this spell costs X less to cast, where X is the total power of creatures you control with flying. Of course he has flying. So if you are able to play out a bunch of creatures that have flying, say if you had the Eagles Are Coming and you'd gotten a whole bunch of them out, then you could really reduce the cost here, because it's not even the number of creatures you have, it's their total power. So you really only need 2 4/4 flyers to reduce his cost to just 2 blue, and he can come out with flash. Lord of the Eagles really could be a great card here. Next up you have the cheapest of the flyers, which is the Most Decrepit Old Bird. Now why they didn't give this guy a name and make him legendary must be because they wanted you to be able to play more than one, because he certainly could have been named, but in this case he's just a generic decrepit old bird, and he costs 1 blue mana. He has an adventure which allows you to mill 4 cards and then put an instant or sorcery card from among them into your hand. But the part we're after right now is that he is flying and he has threshold, so he's a 1/1, but if there are 7 or more cards in your graveyard, he gets +1/+1, making him a 2/2. So he can really contribute there. Now he is rare, but we'll see some of him in play, I am sure. Next we have the Ravenhill Flock. So this one also costs 4, so the same as the Heron did, but this one is an uncommon, and it's even better. It has flying, and whenever you draw a card, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. So if you play this in a recruit deck, you're going to be drawing cards a lot, and this creature is going to get very strong enough maybe to reduce the Lord of the Eagles cost by a lot. So blue definitely sitting in a good place with flying. You should definitely prepare to take out some flyers, because if you're playing against blue, there's a good chance you're going to see quite a bit of it. All right, next up we have black. Black comes in with just 2 flyers, so there isn't too much going on here, but they do have a bat, which is the main flyer that the bad guys have, have in the Hobbit book. It's the dreaded bat Cloud. It is 4 and a black, power 4, toughness 2, and this spell costs 3 less to cast if a creature died this turn. It has flying and death touch. So a great thing to have up in the air to death touch maybe the Lord of the Eagles, say, and stop that from really going south for you. Now, it has this reduced cost if a creature died, so you will probably see it cast during the second main phase most of the time. And then the other one black has costs 2 and a black, and it is the Great Fierce Bee. This is one of the giant bees that fly around Beorn's home and make his honey. This one has flying, and whenever one or more other creatures die, scry 1. So there's a death mechanic there, and it's a 2/2. So black doesn't have the strongest flying there, but it does have a common and an uncommon, so it could see some play. Then we bring in red. Red has 2 creatures, which are both Smog, and an enchantment that can create a dragon. So you've got Smog Great Calamity, which costs 5 and 2 reds. This is a common, so it's the one most likely to see play. It has a sorcery, which can deal 5 damage, but then it is a 5/5 with flying when you cast it as a creature. Smog the Magnificent, on the other hand, costs 2 and 2 red, so significantly less, gets you a slightly less powerful 4/3, but it has flying and haste. Whenever Smog attacks, he deals damage equal to the number of treasures you control to any target. At the beginning of your upkeep, create a treasure token. This obviously is a very powerful mythic rare card, and whenever someone pulls it, it's probably going to see play. And then we have a rare Saga enchantment, which is the Misty Mountains Cold, and it creates a treasure token each turn it's out, which is 4 turns. And then if you control 4 or more treasures, you get to sacrifice that Saga and create a 6/6 dragon creature token with flying. So that's another dragon that red can get there. Then we have a couple of hybrid spells here, one for white and blue and one for black red. So the white blue, it can be either white or blue, and it's called Eagle's Rescue. This is an enchantment aura which will go onto a creature and give it +2/+2 and have flying, which is great. You can get another creature with flying, which could help you to cast Lord of the Eagles, of course. But the nice thing about this is its recursion ability. So for its mana cost, it can recur back to the battlefield. So you can pay that cost, and then you can return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield to target creature you control with power 1 or less. You can activate that only as sorcery, but this is really powerful recursion for this enchantment to have, because you can get it back out and then have a 3/3 out there in the air. Then for red and black, you have the other Smog card, Smog Wicked Worm, and this does cost 3 plus a red and a black, so you do have to be playing red and black to get it. And it has flying. When Smog enters, create X tap treasure tokens, where X is the number of artifacts your opponents control, so could end up being a lot, particularly playing in a pre-release where a lot of people are playing artifacts in their dwarf decks. Whenever you cast a spell, if mana from a treasure was spent to cast it, you draw a card and lose 1 life. So a little card engine there, but he's in the air as a 5/5. This is a rare, so it'll see more play than the mythic one, but not as much as the common one. And then lastly, we have the colorless flyer, which is the Old Thrush. The Old Thrush, of course, is really important in Smog's takedown because it tells Bard how to kill him. So the Old Thrush costs 2, colorless, so anyone can play this. So this would be the generic flyer to get in your deck. It is a common, so I would expect to see most decks have it in there. You want to at least have a flying blocker available to you. It only costs 2, but you get a 1/2 flyer, and when this creature enters, you gain 2 life. You may search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, then shuffle and put that card on top. So you can fix your mana if you are having a hard time. You cast this for 2, and then you can fix your mana, as well as getting that flyer out there. All right, those are all the flyers that you might see in the pre-release this weekend. Let me know which ones you're interested in and what you're planning to play this weekend, and we will chat in the next video.